do
So, after this introduction, we will continue with the history of HVDC. I will show you the most relevant events, or at least my selection of the most important events. And as you see here, there are two technologies, LCC and VSC converters. And Edu have talked about a little bit of them. LCC is line commutated converter, and they work with thyristors. Maybe as you know, thyristor, you can control when they turn on, but the turn off is synchronized with the current of the grid. So when the current of the grid goes to zero, they turn off. So you only can control when they turn on. And VSC works with IGBTs, so you can control when they turn on and when they turn off. So the flexibility of VSC converters is higher. So let's start with the list of my events. Okay. The first event was the first HVDC was in 1882 when Oscar von Miller and as his fellows connected an steam engine in Miesbach, is a city in Germany, to a glass palace event in Munich. What they wanted to demonstrate was that they can consume the energy produced in Miesbach. They can consume it in Munich, 57 kilometers away. So they just connect a pump to pump water and to make a waterfall. So in Munich they had a waterfall pumped by a pump that consumed power from Miesbach. So we say HVDC because the voltage was 2 kilovolts and the power was just 1.5 kilovolts. So this was the first case of HVDC. So let's continue with the real, or more actually, HVDC cases. Okay, so which allowed, or the invention that allowed the first HVDC converters, or let's say, was the mercury arc valves. They were created by Peter Cooper in 1902. But they were improved for HVDC by Uno Lamb. Uno Lamb is considered as the father of the HVDC because they built the first static converters. Static because the converters don't move. Before them, all were rotating machines and all the stuff. Okay, each of these balls, like here, is one switch. So we can see the considerable size of the converter. So let's continue with the first commercial link that was in Gotland, as Edu says. They connect the island of Gotland here to the mainland by a 98 kilometers link. The power was, if it works, well, you see that 20 megawatts, and the voltage was 100 kilowatt. Here we see the substation, and there you see the mercury arc valves. There, you see that here. These are the valves, and here you see an image of the people installing the cable. During the decade of 60s, there were many, or some, projects which use mercury valves. We see here the power. All of them, the power is not too much, but here we can see this one until 720 megawatts, which is a considerable high power. But most of them have 300 almost 200, 250, 200, and the voltage is not too much high. We see here 400, what is quite high, but the others, you see. So one advance was the Pacific Inter-T. We can see already we are in the 1960. They use 6 mercury arc valves to connect Oregon in the north of United States to California. So the link covered almost the whole west side of the United States. The length of the cable was almost 1,400 kilometers. So it's a very long distance, even for today. And the power was 1,600 megawatts. So it's a very, very high, even for that time, even now. Here we see more in detail the valve, the mercury arc valve, and here the substation, if it works well. This is the substation for one of these things. So now we will change the technology, and we will go to thyristors. They were proposed by William Shockley in 1950, but they were developed by General Electric a little bit later. We see here a little picture just to represent it. Okay, let's say let's go to the first use of a thyristor in a commercial HVDC transmission. We see here is in Goldland again. They replaced one of mercury valve for a thyristor one. We see here in white. This is the thyristor valve, and the other one are mercury arc valves. And with this installation, they can increase the power from 20 to 30 megawatts, and the voltage from 100 to 150 kilovolts. So the thyristors allowed increase the voltage, and because of that, the power. Okay, these are the first thyristors projects of HVDC. You can see here the Elbe River that Edu commented before, and other ones. Here we see some of them almost 2 gigawatts, and the voltages are in some cases higher than before. But thyristors allows to increase the voltage, and because of that you can increase the power because you have less doses. So another great project, it was the largest and more powerful HVDC transmission until the 2010, was the Itaipu and Sao Paulo link. In Itaipu they have an hydraulic plant, you see here, and they want to export that energy produced there to the city of Sao Paulo. The cities in Brazil are very great. So we see here the power station. You see the dimensions, 960 per 800 square meters. So it's very, very big. And first they install one pole, so they have 300 megawatts, and 6 years later they install the another pole, so they duplicate the power, and they use thyristor valves. In this time, they made different upgrades. So in Goldland, they installed another pole. They just had one thyristor, and then they built another converter, all made with thyristor. So they increased the power until 130 megawatts. 3 years later, the Goldland 1 was dismantled, so it was removed. All the mercury arc valves were removed. And 1 year later, they installed more thyristors to duplicate the power. We see here one of the thyristor valves used in Goldland. They look more modern than before. They were like a cylinder. And more upgrades, the Pacific Inter-T, which was the link, the west coast in US link. They just had the yellow valves, and they had 1,600 megawatts, and they install in series some thyristors, so they could increase the voltage and the power until that value. Later, 5 years later, they install some converters in parallel, so they can increase the current. As you see, the voltage is the same, but they can increase the current. And much later, all the Silmer substation here was dismantled and built again. As you see here, the converters use all the current, and there they change the mercury R bars for thyristors. And then let's move to VSC converters. The first HVDC light, that is the name of ABB for VSC converters, was in Hälsholm, I don't know, you are from Sweden, so you know better than me. It was just a test, the power is just 3 megawatts. And 2 years later, they installed a VSC in Gotland again. Gotland is very, it's always in this story of HVDC. And there are some projects that use VSC converters, and we see here that the voltage in general is less than thyristors. This is because the cables that use VSC converters is different from the LCC converters, and they can hold on less voltage, but it's still under research. But we see here the different projects. And in 2001, another VSC converter, but which use many levels, that we say modular multi-level converters, was patented. Here we see in the image of the left side, we see how 2-level converters commutate. So they have to go from the maximum voltage to the lower voltage, so it causes a greater stress to the converter, and causes more harmonics and all this. So this advance, Abel will talk further later, allows to reduce all the filters, because you have less harmonics here, as you see, and but the control, as you see later, or I don't know exactly, is more complex. Okay, the first project that used this kind of converters was in San Francisco, the Transbay project, that connected Pittsburgh from Pittsburgh to San Francisco. The power was 400 megas. And the latest projects, or let's say advanced, is the ultra high voltage DC. I think they're only in China. So see the voltage, 800 kilovolts, 500 megavolts, 2,000 kilometers. They are very great. You see here one of their converters. This is very big installation. It's like I don't know, but like a football field. And I think that's all.